بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. This is our program Spirit of Values. In the last episode we discussed the value of excellence. How can we make sure that we are achieving excellence? In this episode and the following episode we will discuss value of benchmarking. Let's first understand what is benchmarking. Why do we need to benchmark our services? And so let's go in the ocean of benchmarking. Why is it a very important value to apply? So we start with definition. Benchmarking is a systematic approach and method by which organizations, societies can measure themselves against the best industry. Are we number one? Are we of the best 10? We have to benchmark. This is in the model of excellency is translated in the value of benchmarking to be able to read our performance. Benchmarking is a standard that organizations, companies compare themselves to and strive to be that good. We have to be number one, or at least if we cannot achieve number one, of the best 5%, for example. This is done by benchmarking what we present. Benchmarking concept. Again, we have always to think of a creative adaptation in order to be excellent, to achieve an advanced level in benchmarking. In benchmarking, what we do is we have to ask ourselves and be honest. What is our performance level? We have to measure the performance level. We use what we call KPIs, key performance indicators. Very important to use the key performance indicators to help us read our performance level, KPIs. And we have lots of references, but one of the best references for this good reference, international reference, library of KPIs. Lots of KPIs you will find on this concept. So we have to read our performance level. Then we have to check what are others' performance level. How did they get there? We read the best industry in the market. How did they get there? We are reading their performance. And then we make the breakthrough performance to achieve better level and reach the excellence in the market by using the benchmark as an input and tool. So read your performance, read the performance of competitors, and try to make a breakthrough performance. The main departments in organizations that will help in this is the R&D unit, research and development unit. Or if we don't have this unit, the knowledge management department. There should be a unit that cares for research, making development, setting the benchmarking in order we can read ourselves in the market and compare with our competitors. Now, why do we need to benchmark our organizations, our service? The first thing for the reasons is to promote continuous improvement. This is the idea of what we call CI, continuous improvement. Applying continuous improvement by using benchmarking will help us to move always in the front and be of the best organizations. Also, another reason to benchmark is to make companies search for the best practices, innovate ideas, and highly effective operating procedures. By benchmarking, we can be aware of this. Can notify a company if it has fallen behind the competition. Are we outside the market? Are we in the average? Are we of the top industry? Benchmarking will help us to move and read. And also benchmarking will inspire top management and leaders who in turn will inspire the whole employees to compete, to progress and reach excellence. And also to allow goals to be set objectively in order we can improve and suggest a new performance criteria and reach a new level of excellence. What are the benefits that organization would get from benchmarking? We have lots of benefits. One, fewer customer complaints. Once we read how we are performing, we can improve and reduce customer complaints and reach a highest level of quality of life for our employees and for our customers. Reduction of defects. Actually, in the market, they are discussing the zero concept of quality. What do you mean by zero concept? ZD, ZC, another ZC, ZW. For example, can we reach zero defect in production? This is a very high level goal. Once we benchmark, we can set actions to reach the concept of reduction of defects. Continuous reduction means we can reach ZD, at least we can achieve 99 or 98% of very effective production. In services, we don't have production and defects. They go for zero complaints. Can we reach zero complaints? All our customers satisfied from what we present? This is an aim. Once we do benchmarking, we actually reduce the customer complaints and we get for a better advanced level. Then ZC, this is applied in management and politics, zero corruption, which affects the ethics and values and threaten the achievement of goals. And in environment now, we are discussing what we call zero waste, recycling, renewable energy. So once we do the benchmarking, we reduce the defects, we reduce the complaints of the customer, even we reduce the service response time. Just to remind you, in one of the episodes, we discussed the concept of customer satisfaction. What do customers need from their organizations? They need highest level of quality and quick service with the least possible cost, with the after-sale services and welcoming. This is very important. So reduction in the service response time would help us through the benchmarking. Another benefit of benchmarking is reduction in defective incoming parts from our suppliers. Once we benchmark, is this supplier excellent? Can I change the supplier? Again, also reduction in inventory cost. Usually in production, we have a lot of cost for inventory. Once we start benchmarking, we go through some relations with our strategic partnership, we can reduce inventory cost by doing the benchmarking. Also, we reduce labor cost and reduction in billing errors. So benchmarking is a very, very powerful tool to use in order to move and achieve excellence. So these are the benefits of benchmarking. Another benefit is, so reduce this and let's opposite what we discussed. So the concept is we increase customer satisfaction, we increase our marketing productivity, we increase distribution productivity, we increase product reliability. At the end, all organizations will benefit from benchmarking. Now, what is the roadmap for benchmarking? We have to follow 9 steps if we want to actually get benefit from the value of benchmarking. The first is starting the journey in the roadmap of benchmarking. Identify the criterion, what to benchmark. And we will discuss later what to benchmark. Shall we benchmark the product, the process, the politics, whatever? Then the second step, identify the benchmark source, where to get the information. What is the main resources for benchmarking? Number 3, select the appropriate benchmarks in order you can move and be in the competition. Then number 4, analyze the process and the practice in order to make sure that you are proceeding in the right direction. Number 5, set appropriate targets for your performance. Also, there are some differences between goal, objectives, and targets. And here we are seeking targets. Goals are strategic level, concerned by top management. Objectives for departments, but targets for projects. For if I have a project of benchmarking, set what are the targets that you are moving and to make sure that you are performing in the right way. Number 6, we have to agree on the steps with the team and to achieve this performance. Number 7 now, this, what we have put as a plan, we start implementing the plan using the resources. Then number 8, we measure and control. And always monitoring and evaluation is very important to the new performance level. Have we reached the level that we care for? Have we increased our competition level in the market? And always ask yourself and your team, can we still improve? Can we go for more continuous improvement? So this is the roadmap that will help to get use of the benchmarking and apply it for movement to get to the excellence model that we discussed previously. So 7 steps to benchmark. Step number 1, identify what to benchmark. What do you need to benchmark? Activities involved in step 1 are clarifying the objectives. But what are the objectives for this? Decide whom to be involved. Define the process itself. Consider the scope of benchmarking, and always don't be too wide scope or narrow scope. Be logical in defining the scope for benchmarking, set the boundaries, agree on what happens in the process, then flowchart this process. Put it in a flowchart to make sure that you are following the correct steps in direction. Then the first step still, identify what to benchmark. This is always subdivided into sub-steps. Clarify the objectives, decide whom to involve, again define the process, consider scope, set boundaries, agree, and flowchart. This is to make sure that we are moving in step number 1. Clarify the objectives. Why do we need to benchmark? Is benchmarking an objective? No, it's a way to improve. So set priorities for improvement is the main objective for benchmarking. Addressing a specific problem which needs attention and not meeting the goals. Always review for each department what are the major problems, what are the gaps. Then from this you can set the priorities for improvement. Big major problems need to have the highest priority in benchmarking. Then whom to involve? Well, we have to be supported first from top management to allow the team for the selected for the benchmarking to be able to move. Include employees who are very close to the process. Include employees who have interest and knowledge about what goes on outside the boundaries of the process. Let us also consider the internal supplier. Sometimes we involve our customers in the benchmarking. What do you want? What are you seeking? Who supply the products, the information, and other key personnel should always be there. Customers receive our service is also another very important part of the team in order to be involved in benchmarking. Benchmarking team, for example, could include production supervisor. This gives decision-making authority about where we are doing, how we are proceeding. A senior member of the quality improvement team must be there in the team for benchmarking. An inspector that will make the auditing, the checking, the control. An inspector or technical employee according to the type of the operation. Is it IT? Is it engineering? Is it, for example, HR? Involve a technical person, manager of the team, or even a director is very important to include to provide direction. Agree on the goal and the decision maker for the team. Then sub-steps for step 1, define the process. One need to clarify what are we doing. A process is always a series of tasks that are interrelated to deliver a goal. Consider the scope, even to remind you, not too broad, not too narrow scope. Well-defined scope is highly needed in the benchmarking. Then step number 2, determine what to measure. And this has 3 major sub-steps in determining what to measure. Examine the flow chart that we did in step number 1. Establish the process measures in order to make sure that we are measuring, and verify that measures match the objectives to achieve the objectives as well as the targets. The flow chart. Review the flow chart. Some of the measurable items we are looking might be the following. overall time to complete the process. Very important to benchmark our time of service. Sometimes we are behind the time. We have to accelerate. We need enablers. Some other processes that we can measure: completion time for each individual task, very important KPI. Time spent at each decision point. Time is very critical for our customers. So this is one of the most key issues for benchmarking, is the time. Number of loops or repeats. And because of this, now we apply what we call re-engineering, reinventing the process. Variation of task time. Number of defects, if claims. Cost is a very important to measure and benchmark the cost for different processes. Step number 2, measures of your internal suppliers and customer requirement. Very important to consider their opinion in benchmarking. Since their performance is linked to yours, your measures should be always linked as well with them. Internal customer, external customers, internal suppliers, external suppliers, in order to move with this step. Step number 3 is a very critical one. Identify who to benchmark, what to benchmark, conduct the general research, choose the level to benchmark internally, and read the competition and the non-competitive also. For example, if you are an NGO, it's totally different from a profit organizations, different from government organizations. We have to set the boundaries, what to identify. And then we start collection of the data. It's time now to gather information on the performance level of your benchmarking target. The help of the research and development unit, the help of different units to collect the data is very important. And here we have 3 main resources: either internal resources, public information, other organization. We collect the data. We do what we call a mind map of all information collected during the benchmarking. The techniques for gathering benchmarking information: we can use questionnaire, we can use a survey, a site visit, focus groups. Things to remember in the questionnaire: we use the research, include a detailed information of the process, list the task included, list problems, and then we move to step number 5, which we will discuss in the coming episode. Value of benchmarking is a very important cornerstone for moving in the market as well as in the competition to give us the excellence value. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.